That's my baby. I'm dying. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What's up, everybody? Tuesday night live here on A2DRadio.com, coming at you guys live from all of our Real Talk studios here. I am Chrome, joined by Maddie, Jeff, and Andy. Looking forward to talking tonight with the living legend Larry Zbyszko, but first and foremost, we got to share some love. There it is. We love it. You missed it, Andy. He did it for you. We're going to give some love to our sponsors. First and foremost, our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy. You can find him in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary. So make sure you guys, especially for you athletes out there, recovery, body aches, pains, hit up the doc, let him know. He'll take care of you guys. And also, with everything going on with COVID, a lot of things going on around the country right now, and a lot of people dealing with with issues with mental health and addiction issues. We here at A2D Radio, we're here to support you guys, to give you guys an outlet, and we are happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. So if you guys or anybody you know need an outlet to reach out to get help, please dial that phone number, 856-651-8117. Again, the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox, 856-651-8117. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and let's make everybody, a more well-rounded and happier person. And also, Body Check Wellness. Hey, we're happy to be a part of them. So again, we're talking about athletic recovery through hemp and other things here, guys. Use the promo code A2D, 20% off. And anytime former Philadelphia Flyer Riley Cote joins our guy Matty over here on the Hockey Happy Hour on Thursdays, they have a special package that they offer 40% off. So you guys want to make sure you keep an eye on that. Set your alerts for all shows when they go live. And again, check out bodycheckwellness.com, proud partnership that we have with them. Our topic of conversation tonight, brought to you by Body Check, that we're going to get into in the second half of the show, is going to be about the NXT TakeOver. And we're going to recap that. And the question is simple. The split of the Undisputed Era was long overdue. Agree, disagree. But first and foremost, and we'll get to that, put that to the side, we have the living legend, WWE Hall of Famer, one of the most revered heels of the 1980s right here, Mr. Larry Zbyszko. Larry, thank you for joining us, sir.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for asking me on.
We're looking forward to it, Larry. A lot of people were really excited about this. You talk about a career from in-ring and even extending beyond that during, the Monday Night War era. So much that we would like to try to cram in. We're going to get to as much as we can. But first and foremost, I'm going to kick it off, and then we'll do what we do usually, guys. We'll work it around. We'll go down to Jeff, and we'll work that way. But I want to talk to you, Larry, about the early days. You went to Penn State University. You left school early and you started in professional wrestling, training under Bruno. Can you talk about what that experience was like?
Well, for me, it was like the thrill of a lifetime. And I started off at Penn State, and about a year and a half later, I got kind of suspended because I accidentally punched out the assistant dean. But then Bruno wouldn't start me into wrestling until I had some kind of degree to fall back on. Because he knew that wrestling isn't a long-term guaranteed career. You could either bomb out or easily get hurt, and your career was done. So he wanted me to have something to fall back on, and so did my parents. So there was some pressure on finishing school. But as I was finishing, school and getting a degree, in basket weaving, I was working out with Bruno in his basement at the time. It was a time in his career where he was such the big star still, but he wasn't doing the little high school weekly shows. he would just be flying out on the weekends for the big arenas in the Garden and the big shows. So that gave us a lot of time together, and I did Bruno's workout with him, and that's why I kind of resembled him a bit with the chest and the traps and the arms. I mean, we spent an hour and a half just on chest. But I went from a 180-pound kid when I started working out with him, maybe a couple of years or so after, when I hit 21 and started in the ring, to a 245-pound guy, and I was benching 465 and a half pounds. And Bruno was still benching 505, even with his bad elbows, and he was a beast. But yeah, so it was kind of it's really a story of a dream come true. There's some things I can tell you that I get goosebumps thinking about. But and as we would work out, he would teach me things that the old timers wouldn't teach anybody else, because they really didn't want you in the business. It was hard getting in. The professional wrestlers was a small group of the boys. It was like a sacred community. And they didn't want anybody else in the wrestling business, because in those days, there was no contracts or nothing. If you didn't, sell a ticket, you didn't eat. So it was a different world and a different ballgame.
And following up on it, see, that's amazing to hear about that with Bruno. Following up on that, you guys ended up working a lot together. First, almost as like a tag team, and then around the 1980 area is where we started to see kind of the development of you as an individual, right? And that's when you challenged him to the exhibition match, and we had that infamous feud that kicked off, where you turned on him during the match, bloodied him, and
yeah,
man, wasn't that a downfall, or not a downfall, but wasn't that an avalanche of wildness with the Bruno fan favorites? I mean, you were instantly made as one of the biggest heels of the business. Can you talk about being that guy, kind of growing up there with Bruno in ring, and then kind of how things just switched on a dime that moment you hit him with the chair?
Well, yeah, it was a wild moment, but leading up to that, some years before that, I didn't realize the political connection I had or anything about politics, because I was a young guy who just wanted a career and be a wrestler. But because I was Bruno's protege, it opened a lot of doors, and Bruno was impressed with my athletic ability in terms of the amateur wrestling, and between wrestling seasons I did the martial arts to keep going, because I wanted to be the toughest guy I could be, and working out with him the strongest. But he was the guy that picked up the phone and called Vince Sr. and said, "Hey, Vince, I got this guy I want you to bring in as my protege and start him off. Otherwise, I may have never gotten into business."
Yeah.
So it was Bruno who called Vince Sr. and got me the job. And I started out, basically, they kind of teamed me up with Tony Gurria for a while as I learned, that. Because back then, there was no schools. You learned on the fly. And the advice the old timers would give you, and like I said before, they wouldn't really give many people advice because they didn't want to lose their position. But as time went on, not that long, I was still 20, maybe 7-ish or so. And Bruno had just retired recently after breaking his neck with Stan Hansen. And he was doing the broadcasting with Vince Jr. But in the meantime, everything I learned from the old pros about the psychology and, how to get a big break. Plus then all the publicity came out of New York because of the magazines that would go all over the country. There was no internet, none of this stuff. So when Bruno was retired, I realized by still wrestling everywhere, all the crowds were going way down. Madison Square Garden, what sold out for 18 years, was now not selling out, and the attendance going way down, which also meant the WWF wasn't doing good.
Yeah.
And I just knew inside, if anybody could get Bruno back into the ring one more time, because that's what the fans wanted, they weren't ready yet for him to go, then his opponent would become a big star. So I, kind of bugged Bruno into, getting me out of the shadow, because a lot of people wouldn't even know my name. They'd be like, Larry, Bruno's protege, So I wanted to make a name and kind of talked him into it. And then he talked to Vince Sr. Vince Sr. was kind of leery because I wasn't the stereotypical kind of guy for back in those days who would wrestle Bruno. You had 300-pound George Steele or 300-pound Ivan Koloff or 300-pound Professor Tanaka, and I was a 245-pound babyface kind of guy. And I didn't realize it at the time, but even though I had this great idea and was trying to get guys to go along with it, Vince Sr. was the guy who had to open his wallet and rent the Garden and rent Shea Stadium. Imagine what that cost.
Oh,
so he was really the guy that had to put his butt on the line. But the way things worked out was so far beyond what even I could imagine at the time. But when it came to that one match where I finally snapped and lost it as a young guy and lost my mind and whacked Bruno with the chair, and it cut him open good. I mean, you can see on the tape if you watch it, when I left the ring, people, it was silent. You could hear a dime drop. They were in shock.
Yeah.
I mean, the fans were in shock. And that TV played like a couple of days later on the weekend or some weird time. And I didn't realize it, but then the next week when I drove to a wrestling show I was on, people tried to kill me. I mean, my car had a Cadillac. It was smashed with rocks, and the mirrors were hanging, and the lights were smashed, and it was dents all over. I mean, I had to run for my life, and then pretty soon I had to be hiding in people's trunks to be drove into a building. I was shot at leaving an arena. The bricks above my nose, brick stuff flying. And then during the shows during the week, I'd wrestle guys like Putski or Morales or Strong Brawl. Then I could start a riot. Like almost every night there was a riot, people trying to kill me. I got stabbed in the ass in one night. I mean,
did you get hit with a pipe?
When I tell the young guys at the PC sometimes how it was, they scratch their heads, and it's hard for them to believe how it was back in those days when the fans, they loved Bruno so much. I mean, they really loved the guy, everybody, that when Bruno got bloody and fell down, people in the garden and the arena, they got heart attacks. Yeah. There's people that died with a heart attack because Bruno was bleeding. And man, did they hate me. I mean, I got threats from Little Italy. Police would call me, do not go to Little Italy. Oh, God. Someone's got a train coming through.
It's funny, too, when I think of that, right? I think of, especially when you're talking about this time where it's an era of before what they call the kayfabe era, right? Where,
that was sacred stuff.
You think about that, and you think the two probably most iconic moments, I feel like, when you look at the crowd reactions and again, how it kind of followed certain people. It was obviously back with Dusty and the Four Horsemen, and then you and Bruno. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard more extreme circumstances of fans going crazy. I mean, true or false, I've heard you've been hit with pipes. I've heard that people have flipped cars you've been in and everything else.
Oh, yeah. I was turned over. I flew into Boston, got in a cab. There was a little old cab driver guy. And I said, take me to the back of the Garden. And when you got to Madison Square Garden, there was an alleyway between the Garden and a hotel right next to the Garden. And a walkway on top where you could walk from the Garden to the hotel. So the cab's going through the driveway between the two buildings to the back of the Boston Garden. And as he's going, all of a sudden, rocks start hitting the windows. Hey, Zbyszko's in there. And windows are crashing. And this old man freaks out because he doesn't know what the hell's going on. So he makes this U-turn, but because behind the garden there was a ramp. And you could drive up this little ramp into the back and go inside of the garden. But he turned so quick because he was so scared, he missed part of the ramp. So the cab had 2 wheels on the ramp and 2 on the ground. It was kind of like sideways. And then all the fans were rushing over, banging on it, and then pushed it over. You're upside down. I thought the old guy was going to have a heart attack, not to mention myself. You know, the security would be running out of the building and there. So finally I made it to safety. But that's kind of the lessons I learned about. I couldn't just, you know, get there and walk in. You know, I get killed.
Wow. Maddie?
My question for you, Larry, is obviously you had that run in the WWE with Bruno that basically propelled you to being a really big heel. Eventually, in your career, you would become AWA World Champion. What was it like working in the AWA with Vern Gagne and then holding the championship?
Well, I mean, it was good. I mean, the AWA was one of a good territory. It was a hard territory to get into because Vern was a good payoff guy. He didn't have to deal with a lot of state commissions and stuff like the expenses in New York. And during the summer, because the winters were so bad, people would go inside and watch wrestling. It was a gold mine. But during the few months of summer up there, he really didn't run too many shows, did TVs and a big show now and then. So you had some good time off instead of wrestling every day, all year round, because all the farmers and the people up there would go vacation and get out of the house because the winters were so bad. So it was a good territory to work in. And it just kind of worked out where after my big feud with Bruno, I was there a little longer working the big shows with Pedro Morales and Ivan Putski and Strongbow and them. But then it got to the point where it was kind of maybe time for me to get out a little bit. Otherwise, if people see you too long, too much of you, you start to lose a little bit. It's like, God, this TV show was great, but I've seen it 100 times. Isn't there another one? You know. So that's why in the days of the territories, guys would do great for a year, but then they go to another territory and do great because they were the new guy, and then go to another territory. So that was a good thing about the territories. And what kind of worked out good for me was, I didn't know it at the time, but maybe 81-ish or so, late 81, maybe when I left the WWF for a while. That was the time when the era of wrestling was starting to change because television was starting to change. And we were going into a new era. Instead of the territories and the local TVs, we were now moving into the era of national cable TV, cable networks. So the territories were in the days of disappearing. And the interesting part was, at that time, you know, unfortunately, Vince Sr. passed away, and Vince Jr., you know, wound up with the WWF, I think, then shortened it to the WWF. But Vince Jr. was the one who saw the new era coming first, and he was the one that went to like the behind the back doors to the AWA, and he took Hulk Hogan, who the Gagnes promoted into the first big good guy, really, and Jesse and Bobby Heenan and Mean Gene, and then he went to the NWA and got Macho Man and Roddy Piper and Snuka and probably someone else, and then out west they got the Junkyard Dog and some other guys. So Vince kind of not stole, but made deals and took the other talent, all the top stars of all the territories. So when he ran his nationwide TV, his nationwide territory now, he'd have every area's known top guys. And that left the AWA and the NWA kind of caught off guard. You know, they were older, you know, Vern was older, the Crockett family was older, and they were millionaires and they were happy with the way things was and didn't see the new era coming. But all of a sudden, all their stars were gone. So that left, I was in a position that kind of worked out good for me for years because the NWA needed talent and I was still the hot big heel. So I'd have a place with the NWA and do stuff with Dusty or somebody. Then the AWA needed, you know, some people to wrestle the Bockwinkel's and Greg, because their top guys left. So I always had kind of a home going back and forth because of the way the era changed, where all the top guys were gone from the other territories. So the other two territories, which were the best paying ones, you know, the NWA and the AWA, and they were both on nationwide cable too. So it kind of worked out good for me going back and forth a little bit. And then finally in the AWA, I wound up with the AWA Championship. And I mean, you don't really hear much about it now, but I remember another gigantic thing we pulled off was in Tokyo, where I wrestled Masa Saito at the Tokyo Dome for the AWA title. And we sold out the Tokyo Dome a day before the Buster Douglas-Mike Tyson fight, which didn't sell out. We outdrew Buster, you know, Tyson.
That's why.
So, yeah, but that's kind of how that worked out with the days of the territories. And then when the Gagne, we were trying to get Vern to close the business a couple of years before he finally did. And the Crockett's mother finally, you know, pulled the purse strings on the NWA money. And that's when they sold out to Turner, because wrestling was this big show on TBS for Ted. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into WCW. And then as soon as it did, I got a call from a guy, Jim Hurd, who made me a good offer to come down to WCW, which worked out great because we finally got Vern to wise up and, you know, shut down the AWA, because it was just an era where the territories were going away and the nationwide business was happening.
Wow. Andy?
So you mentioned WCW, and I'm actually really glad you did, because that's when I discovered the living legend Larry Zbyszko. Yeah. And at the height of the NWO and everything that was happening, you enter a feud in '97 with Scott Hall. Can you walk me through what that's like, and especially looking back on it? That's one of my favorite things about WCW was the Larry Zbyszko versus the NWO feud.
Yeah, well, you know, that's why I'm surprised when I do autograph conventions and stuff. So many young people know who I am, because when I was like a little over 40, 41, 42, whatever it was, I wound up doing the broadcasting, which I never planned on doing. I was teamed up with Arn. Me and Arn teamed up when I was kind of back in, you know, the beginning of WCW. And me and Arn clicked. Arn was a great guy. And, you know, I mean, people got into him. And me and Arn together, when we walked out to an arena, even though it was a different world, a different day, and Melter with the cheat sheets, and the audience was different. And me and Arn walked out together. People still, whoa! I mean, it felt like you were back in the 70s. Yeah. You know, so it was good. I enjoyed teaming with Arn. I wasn't like a tag team guy, but I enjoyed teaming with Arn. And then Bill Watts came around, started screwing everything up. And he was the only guy that was a butthole that was proud. He knew it, and he was proud of being a butthole. I can tell you some other stories, but we'll skip it. But anyway. So anyway, I wound up in the group, The Dangerous Alliance. And I was about maybe 42-ish or so. I've been lucky physically, but one of my knees had a cartilage tear. And I didn't like being in a group. I like rather being a single. The team with Arm worked out good. I was getting a little older. But so I didn't want to be in the group. So I told the TBS people, I said, you know what? I need a little operation to get my knee scoped and get some cartilage out. So thanks, I'm going to take a little time off. So it worked out great because they paid for everything. And I was home for a couple months, out of the Dangerous Alliance group, rehabbing the knee. And I got a phone call, and someone asked me, wait, this is going to be rude, but wait. Allergies, it's hot here. So I'm home rehabbing the knee. I get a call from some executive producer and says, hey, Jesse Ventura just quit. Can you come down and do us a favor and voice over a couple of wrestling shows for our syndicated markets that were already, put together, but no voiceovers? So I said, yeah, I'll come down. And what the hell? So I drove down to TBS and voiced over a couple of shows, like a color man, which I've never done. And after that, the door flings open. This executive producer runs in and he says, you're the greatest guy we've ever heard. If you want to be a color man and do the broadcasting, we'll give you this much money a year. And I went, what? I mean, that was the time when TBS, was giving away money like candy, and contracts were in the makes because, so the WWE and WCW talent wouldn't be leaving and running back and forth and, all that stuff. I mean, I made more money, with talking. And it also, so anyway, it kind of caught me off guard, but I looked at it and I went, yeah, I guess so. And I was already in early 40s, so a lot of guys my age were starting to disappear or get too many injuries and been around a long time. And there was like a new school of guys coming up too. So I said, yeah, it would be great. So I wound up, that's how I wound up being a broadcaster. I never planned on it. And then I was doing the broadcasting, for a few years and wanted to keep my name out there a little bit more. So this guy, Lord Steven Regal, came in, new guy. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at him, he was great. And he knew how to wrestle, one of the Wiggum guys from England, kind of. And he would have that look, and people would hate him just for him standing there, just like I used to do. And so I just, and the business on the other side of the coin was also getting lost in a way of wrestling and working and that where the clotheslines have already been invented. By 1995, I was sick of calling clotheslines. So I had an idea. I said, let me do something with this Regal guy. So we did a little thing with Regal because I wanted to show the young wrestlers how to have a match without doing damn clotheslines, basically. And I remember the first one with Regal went 27 minutes. And when I came back, Brian Pillman was running around the dressing room going, these guys wrestled 27 minutes and didn't throw one clothesline. And when I did the broadcasting with like Shivani or Scott Hudson or JR, I'd look at the card and I'd say, this guy, oh, Luger, Public Enemy. Oh my God, there's 20 clotheslines there. So I used to set the over-under on clotheslines. Okay, this show, I'll put the over-under on 30 clotheslines. And people, we bet $5, $10 on the over-under. During the match, we'd be calling it just like you hear today. What a clothesline still, You'd be doing it, boom, boom, then they'd be throwing it, and also you'd hear me say sometimes, we hit the over! But no, clotheslines. But then I went back to the broadcasting, and then, the wrestling was kind of going down a little bit. And then I'm not sure whose idea was, it could have been Eric's idea. But the idea that started the New World Order in 97, you're talking about. And I really didn't know about the very beginning of it, but when I heard about it, because even though I wasn't in the office, Greg Gagne, my brother-in-law, was in the office. Me and Bischoff came from the AWA, and I was a private pilot, used to fly little planes all over. And Eric got into flying. I used to take him with me a lot, and he got into it. And so I was kind of in the office without having to sit there all day, if I had something to say. And then when I heard about the idea of what they wanted to do, I said, gee, that sounds really great, but what if we do it like this? And I'm the one that programmed how the New World Order started. And the way Scott Hall first, did stuff, and the way it started. That's the most important part that I learned from the old school. If you're going to do something, you got to start it off right, or it won't get over as much as it could. And one television taping, if I remember right, we went to a commercial break. Scott Hall was in the ring talking. We went to a commercial break, and our announce table was right by the ring in those days before the big set. And Scott came to the rope during the commercial break and leaned over and said something to me. And I stood up from my announce chair like I was pissed. And the arena blew the roof off the place. And when I stood up and heard that, me and Scott both looked at each other like, oh my God, this is money. People want to see this. I didn't, but the fans will tell you what they want to see if you're smart enough to listen. So when I heard that, I said, okay. So then the next thing that led to me and Scott, but then Eric, it got so big, Eric wanted to get involved. So I threw a little swerve in because I knew people were dying to see me and Hall. But then I did a little swerve and worked in Bischoff. Bischoff wanted to get involved and be part of the New World Order. So that's why I wound up with Bischoff first to kind of swerve him because I knew the Scott Hall thing wasn't going anywhere. So I worked with Bischoff to save Nitro and then built it up to Scott. But I tell you, that was so unbelievable because we were doing like an 11 rating. Wrestling was bigger than the Super Bowl. And even today, there's no doubt in my mind, because in 1997, and I hate to even say things like this, but back in 1997, the audience was smart, which I hate to say. But it takes the fun out of it for them when they know. But even though they were, the New World Order, it was like being back in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, they hated it. They'd throw stuff in the ring. I mean, Bischoff did a great job. I mean, people would jump over the rail trying to beat Eric up. I mean, it was like you were back in time because it was done so right. Even an audience that thought they knew what was going on was so emotionally involved that they hated some of these guys and went berserk. And, the proof's in the numbers, 11 rating, shit.
Andy, you had a follow-up to this. I know you've been dying to ask this all week.
So, with such an iconic voice and everything like that through the industry, how many times you get somebody to say he threw him like a dart?
Oh God, you remember that?
that whole Rey
Mysterio, I think.
And it is one of the. It is so subtle, Larry, but it's one of the most iconic and most memorable quotes in the history of commentary in WCW.
Oh yeah,
but I remember doing it because we were watching it, and I didn't know what was going on at that time for that. But I think it was Kevin Nash because Rey Mysterio Jr. came in, and he was a small guy compared to most guys. And he came in. I think Kevin Nash picked him up and threw him where his head bounced off a trailer. Or one of the trucks. He threw him like a dart. I remember saying that, yeah, because it looked just like that.
Do people ever ask you to say that?
No, you're the first guys that ever.
Get out of here!
Rowdy,
awesome.
I have to tell you, even before I got into this whole gig, one of the things that me and my buddies, I have a buddy, his name's Eric Archer, and he'll love it because I'll tell him to go back and watch this. Always does really great wrestling impressions. So he always does like Bobby Heenan commentary quotes. And there were so many times where he would always do that quote. He threw him like a dart all the time. And I'm telling you, he's going to love that I mentioned this during that. But.
I remember doing it. I can remember it in my mind when I picked him up, and little Ray went just like a dart with his head first.
Jeff?
Larry, after a long, incredible career, in 2015, you were finally inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Just what did that mean to you to have that type of honor? I would say just not for your work in the WWF, but just in wrestling as a whole in the industry to help make it what it is for the guys today, and what it meant to you to be inducted into that and by your former mentor and rival, Bruno Sammartino.
Bruno inducted me. I mean, it was one of the greatest memories I'll ever have. It meant the world to me. It was the official ending of a dream life come true. I mean, I'm a big believer. I mean, I'm much wiser now than I used to be and stuff. But the reality of the world we live in is basically kind of a dream. You know, we have the power over our own creation if we go after it and think if things are meant to be. And at the very end of me walking into Bruno's yard and him being my hero, and then that big thing that happened, but then, God, 40 years later, whatever it was, him inducted me into the Hall of Fame. It was like the official ending of a dream come true, and a thrill of a lifetime. In fact, I brought this down. I wear it to official signings and stuff. I don't wear it around the house because I don't want to bang it a couple times. And it's still like new. I just don't want to bang it. So I wear it, I do wrestling stuff. But that's one of my most prized possessions. And the fact that Bruno did it. And there's a weird story, too, about even how a dream comes true and omens that make you know it was meant to be and you made it happen. I'll tell you the one with me and Bruno that gives me goosebumps. But when I was 16, I walked into his backyard and met him. That's how I met him officially. But the very first time I met him, and this is the weird part of the dream thing, was in a little church called St. Sebastian. And one Sunday, my parents dragged me off to church. I was like 13 years old in Pittsburgh, and Bruno was, my hero, and I was a big wrestling fan. And I'm sitting in a pew in church, and I look over next to me, and there's this big broken nose, and there's a big head, and then this weird-looking ear, and I look up and I go, my God, I'm sitting next to Bruno in this little church, St. Sebastian, when I was 13, going 8th grade there. And the reason I'm telling you this is because the things about omens and dreams coming true if you make them, because we're all a divine consciousness. But like 50 years later, when I was at Bruno's funeral, where was his funeral? It was in the very same St. Sebastian little church. And I was sitting like in about the same pew when I was like 13 next to the coffin. So it was like, it hit me weird, but the very first place I ever met him was the exact same place 50 years later. That would be the last time I would ever be next to in that little St. Sebastian church. It was just the weirdest, it was beyond coincidence. So the whole thing was like meant to be.
Wow.
It's awesome.
That is crazy. That is an unbelievable story.
But the Hall of Fame was great, and it was weird because I blacked out and didn't know what the hell I said.
I was there. I was in attendance for that one.
Yeah, because I don't know, something hit me, and I don't know what happened, but the next thing I remember, I was walking off. I remember, I don't know what the hell I said, and I was freaking out, and I was thinking of jumping off a building, and Vince came up to me. Vince came up and said, Larry, that was great. You were in the moment. That's what I wanted. So Vince knew that I've left this dimension, and whatever I said came from a higher place.
Have you ever watched it back?
No.
No.
I saw it. I watched parts of it. I fast forwarded through it. I said, okay, good, never again.
I was there. I loved it. It was an awesome moment. Really cool getting to see you go in at that time. Larry, was there ever a chance, first, do you watch the current product now at all?
Well, yeah.
I know you help
buddies,
out at the PC.
Yeah, one of my buddies is one of the finishing coaches at the PC, and like PC's right down the street from me, and I enjoyed going over the last few years when I opened it, going down to the PC, and sometimes I'd maybe work with his group when he ran out of stuff to teach him, and if I saw a couple guys or someone I knew would say this guy could be money, trying to help him out. But every Monday, it's become like a ritual. I go over to his house and we'll watch Raw, just so we know what's going on and see what all the guys are doing, so we know what to tell them at the Performance Center. The newer guys coming up and the NXT guys, So, but I haven't been there in like a year because with the COVID stuff, it's just been too much of a pain in the butt. You have to get up like the day before at 5 a.m. and get a test and then get a message that night if you can show up. So I haven't been there for about a year. But every Monday we watch Raw together, so we know what's going on with the business. Sometimes we want to hang ourselves.
Yeah, I hear you. So do we sometimes, Larry.
Yeah. So we're trying, just trying to make the product better and teach the guys, some things of how to get an emotional connection with the fans. Because I'm sure you guys aren't stupid. I hear it all the time where even guys come up to me and they'll say, why is every match the same? Every match they're running across the ring into somebody's foot, and then the guy falls out, and then the guy runs across, dives, and the guy stands there with his arms out waiting to catch him. I mean, every match is like, it's the same. It's a pre-choreographed circus stunt show, really. So we're trying to, stop that. And I think I heard the other day, because I've been against it for some years, and so is everybody else, but I think Vince finally put his foot down and said, stop slapping your legs. He said, you guys get it. That's what I mean. It's too much already. Let's give the fans some excitement instead of another same old thing.
So you do watch the current product. Is there one or two males or females that you look at now and you say, okay, they're the future of the business, or the present, like somebody who you would go back and say, that's the one guy or that's the girl that you should be watching right now and seeing what they're doing?
Well, like I said, I haven't been there for a year. I'm kind of, I wish I would have been there. I wish everybody wishes there wasn't that stupid COVID crap. But, a guy like Keith Lee, I wish I had a little time to spend with a guy like Keith Lee, who's a big guy, super athletic, but he doesn't really know how to get in the ring and be a big guy, And, but it's kind of hard for me to say right now because I really haven't been involved in the guys that have been on TV. Strowman, Braun Strowman, when they first brought him in, and after some months, he was really getting over as the monster among men.
Yeah.
But because there was no hero, no more Cena, no more Rock, no more Austin, pretty soon, people started liking Strowman as a good guy kind of guy because he was so impressive.
Yeah.
When you're that big, it's kind of hard to get sympathy because if a little guy beats you up, you don't get that sympathy. You get that, oh, what's wrong, you big idiot? You can't beat this guy? So it's kind of in an era where the business, which goes through eras, are at a time when they need new top star. They need a new Austin. They need a new Bruno. They need a new Goldberg. You know, I mean, and they got guys that they're out there pushing. And unfortunately, some of these guys really don't know how to make themselves get over like they should. I mean, Keith Lee shouldn't work like he's 200 pounds. You know.
It's wild when he does those dives and stuff. He does dives over the top rope and everything else.
Yeah, that's great when, once in a blue moon, you know. But I watched Keith Lee in a match with Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler looks like, a 180-pound little kid next to Keith. They go to tie up, and Dolph kicks Keith Lee in the stomach, which didn't even look good. Keith Lee grabs the stomach, bends over, and just stays like that. While Dolph runs away to hit the ropes. I mean, back in the day, to get the people, something that would be believable, if Dolph Ziggler kicked Keith Lee, Dolph would bounce off Lee and fall on his ass. They don't know how to really do it right. That's the frustrating part, that we're trying to get in their heads.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take anything away from them because you got some incredible athletes. I mean, the training they go through and the stuff they do is outrageously athletic, but they're doing dangerous stuff. I mean, goofy Kevin Owens dove and flipped off some 30-foot scaffold down on Roman. At something smashed into a table, and they're diving and smashing through chairs that are. I mean, what they're really doing dangerous things. But the other side of the coin is the people really don't care if they get hurt or not. I mean, it's just every match is like the same. So it's like, oh, that was a great bunch of car wrecks. What's the next one? That's a great bunch of car wrecks. But there's really not that guy that comes out and people go, oh, wow, gee, yeah, like Brock Lesnar. I mean, I was always a big fan of Brock because he was a real guy. He looked like a real guy, and in the ring, he looked like a real guy. But now you got guys that, could be tough and all, but they're all dancing around like they're all little luchadors, I mean, the one thing we were trying to, this stupid woo slap, where they slap the guy in the chest and people go woo. I mean, if you were in a real fight, but some guys stand there and go, wait a minute, woo, and then slap. He punch in. What the hell? What are you doing, kid? These matches, there'll be 10 woo slaps like it means a shit. Don't get me started. Okay.
Listen, I'm with you. And I always like Brock Lesnar. Maddie knows this because Maddie's been my co-host since we started this show. Really, well, since this iteration of this show, I've always liked Brock Lesnar. People give him a hard time about the part-time thing, but I like that. I agree with you. Brock is who he is, and he feels like he's a big-time ticket. He feels big time. Any match he goes into feels like it's a big deal. And,
and the other guys have to learn that because that's what the business need now is that they need a couple more Brock Lesnars,
Yeah.
Need some guys. I mean, you can have the smaller guys flying through the air and crashing through things and flipping around. That's great. Great time killer action. But still, for that top level, big money draw, big ratings, it's still, you need big, scary, tough guys that people can believe in because they are in the ring doing big, tough guy things.
Yeah. Why don't we do one more round of questions here, and then we'll give Larry his time back. Go ahead, Maddie.
Okay,
This is
then.
it's fun.
I told you'd have fun, Larry. I told you'd have fun.
Larry, when you were doing the commentating for WCW and you were working with, Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay, and, Bobby Heenan, was there ever any real funny stories you had during that? Like, you talked about the clothesline thing. Was there ever any other funny little things that you did with the commentary team?
I'm trying to think. Oh, it really wasn't funny. It really was kind of an easy job because me and Bobby, everything we did was ad lib. So when me and Bobby would get there, we'd maybe hang out together because everybody else was in a meeting or something. And me and Bobby would hang out, maybe to go out in the back, have a cigarette, And then we'd come in and I'd do the first half of the show. And then Bobby would come in and I'd get the hell out and go to the casino or But the one thing that I really cracked up on, I'm proud of myself. When the Scott Hall thing and me was building, we were doing a live thing, and then we went to a commercial break. And one of the little producer girls came running by and said, "Uh-oh, I think Scott Hall's going to be coming out when we get back on air." And Shivani looks like, "Oh, God." I told Annette, I said, "Get me a toothpick, quick. Go get me a toothpick." And she comes back just in the nick of time and slips me a toothpick. Because I know how Scott thinks.
Yeah.
So I put the toothpick, I hit it in my hand, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know, he's coming out. And so we start the show, and all of a sudden, dun, 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 here comes Scott, and he's bad-mouthing, and stuff, and I'm looking at him, and he takes a toothpick out of his mouth, and he says something, and he goes, "Nah," and he bing, and he flicks the toothpick at my face. And I go, "Chum," and I start picking my teeth with it. Like I got midair. Scott's face went from, Scott he went, and I caught this toothpick in midair and just started picking my teeth with it. But that was like one of the cleverest things I think I ever came up with. That got him one of the boys.
Oh, that's great.
It was such an easy job. We just hung out, did an hour and a half of talking. What a clothesline! And off I go.
Brian Wheeler just chimed in. One of our viewers said he could listen to you talk all day, Larry.
I could talk all day. It's fun. And I really enjoy the fans. Wrestling fans are the greatest fans. And I really believe, I think, programming, the way wrestling's been, even on Raw for the last 6-7 years. And again, they're in an era where they need new stars. Every era needs a new star. And that's kind of the pickle they're in. And they're working on it, and they got some great talent, needs a little help, creative needs a little education, maybe, But it really, I think it's time where if they did some things right, that the fans would go berserk. What are the ratings? For everything I hear, the ratings aren't that great.
No, not great.
Because, when you watch, me and Terry, we watched it last night. And I didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. Drew McIntyre is the champion, so all these guys are going to be in an elimination chamber for the chance to wrestle the champion. But now the champions in some elimination match has to wrestle a bunch of guys. What, to wrestle himself? What's the prize? I couldn't figure out what was going on. There's so much going on, and it's hard to really get into that emotional, frame of mind and get into something because it doesn't make sense. What the hell? Well, why is your world champion in there if all the guys in there are in there to wrestle to get a shot at the world champion? So it didn't make sense to me.
Do you watch AEW at all?
I've watched it a few times because after Raw, 3 hours, I can't take more wrestling in 1 week. But I, record everything I watch on TV is recorded, so I can fast forward.
Smart man.
That's how I do it.
TNA.
I record it and watch it later to skip commercials.
Yeah.
And
And I don't know
real
any-
dud segments.
It's all Perry Mason and Peter Gunn and old movies, Charlie Chan. But but I take the NXT and AEW and SmackDown, and I'll fast forward through it and pick it out. And I saw, some AEW stuff, and it's kind of confusing because most of the time I check out AEW, there's 6 guys in the ring, 8 guys in the ring, 4 guys in the ring, and they're all flying around. I think the average weight looks like about 190 maybe. And as I don't know, and they're just all running and flopping and flying around. And but again, they're in the same situation the WWE's in. It's time, the business, whether you're AEW or WWE, the business needs some new stars. They need a new Goldberg, a new Austin, a new Bruno, And once you have the new couple big, hero guys, then bringing in a bunch of big, giant, scary, bad guys for people to get into, that's easy. But to get them to get a good guy, Brock Lesnar kind of guy,
Yeah.
So they're both in that same situation where they both really need to make some new stars because AEW, you got a couple names. I mean, Jericho's very good. He's been around 20-some years. And, Dustin Rhodes has been around. He's great in the ring. I'm still trying to figure out why he's painting his face. And Ambrose is good. I mean, and these guys, and they're working their butts off. And again, they're doing dangerous things. They're flying over ropes and crashing through stuff. And I'm amazed more guys don't get hurt. Even last night on TV, it looked like MVP ran into the ring and tried to stop and all of a sudden started limping. Like he might have, popped his knee or hurt his ankle or something. But, you got really tremendous athletes. They're doing dangerous stuff. But they've got to do some things so people give a damn about what they're doing and who they are. And it's just to the point where every match is the same. So I don't care who wins. And because both guys, both opponents, they're both doing great moves to each other. This guy will do a great move and then get to the top and flip and 1-2 and he'll barely kick out. And then all of a sudden the other guy will punch him and then he'll do a great move. And so they're both doing great stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? I don't know. No one's cheating. You can't hate somebody if they're doing great stuff. It's impressive, So that's kind of where the business is now. It's an era where the next big things are due to come around. And I'm hoping this COVID ends. I'd like to go back to the PC and help a couple guys, but it's got to come from the top too. They got to change some things.
Yeah. Andy, you have another question for Larry?
I do. So when you spent some time in TNA in like 2003, 2006 timeframe, and one of the things I remember is you have was it called the Championship Committee, where it was essentially you versus like Cornette and all these other people. But I watched today you versus Eric Young at Bound for Glory. What was it like?
You have too much time on your hand, Andy.
Hey man, there's 3 inches of snow on the ground in Texas. What do you want me to do? They shut the city down.
Well, I remember the match with Eric. That was probably about the last match I had with TNA. I think it was leaving right after that. I know they wanted me one time to manage AJ when he first started. And then I had a couple of matches with AJ Styles up in Nashville with TNA, and they were great. And AJ's doing great, on the WWE. The Eric Young thing, I barely remember it because I think that was like the last thing I did. And then I left TNA. But it just kind of worked out because I came to Florida after WCW shut down because I wanted to play pro golf. I was like 51. So I wanted to play pro golf on the senior mini tours. So I moved to Florida to, take a shot at playing golf, on the senior tour. And that's how I wound up doing the TNA stuff because it was all getting filmed then in Orlando from Nashville. And I was 3 strokes. Damn it, just not good enough to make big money. The best score I ever turned in was a 67. Usually 70, 71, 73, 69. My best was a 67, but some of the other guys on the tour were pros all their life. When I was wrestling, they were golfing. If they had a 67, they were pissed off. I'll go home now.
I don't think I'll ever shoot a 67. I'm lucky if I get a 97 half the time.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get a 67 ever again.
Jeff, you have another one?
Just real quick, I'll say we have a lot of current indie wrestlers and inspiring wrestlers that listen to this this show. And one of our followers, Kevin Dixon, posted a comment asking, what advice do you give future guys that want to get in the business and try to make them stand apart?
Well, the one main thing I try to say is because everything is so much the same today. Every match is really so much the same. They're all working their butts off, almost doing too much stuff, back and forth. So you don't know who the good guy, bad guy is. You really can't hate anybody because they're doing phenomenal stuff. But so what I try to tell the young guys is, you can see what's on TV now and that, but watch the old stuff. Watch the stuff on YouTube from the 50s and the 60s and see if you can pick out what got Gorgeous George over, what got Ruth Thez over, what got Vernon. What did they do different? Or one little move and hold you don't see anymore, But I just kind of say, watch the old stuff. You can see the new stuff now. But watch the old stuff and see if there's something from this guy here or that guy there that you can steal or make something for your character work with that. Because I think it went back a little bit more. Really can't do what we used to do, but if there was a little more of that and a little less of what's going on today, it'd be a lot better. And at the beginning of your show, you said something about one of your sponsors and people being depressed with the lockdown and all that. And life really hasn't changed much for me because I really didn't do much anyway. But I feel sorry for a lot of the young people and, a lot of people are hurting out there. But the one piece of advice I'd like to give to people, don't get depressed. The reality we live in is really kind of unnatural and stupid right now. But if you got time and you're locked down, do a lot of research on your computer and get back to nature. Get back into the harmony and reality of nature and what we really are and why we're really here. And, it'll take hopefully a lot of depression away when you realize that life isn't all about money. It don't matter what color you are. There's only one race on the planet, the human race. End of story. So try to get back to nature if you're locked down and can't think of nothing to do. Watch the old wrestlers and search around, into the ancient mythologies about nature.
Love that, Larry. That's awesome. I don't have much of a last question. I just have a challenge. I want to challenge you now. Now that I know that you'll win that. Believe me.
Money's on Larry.
I have to challenge you now, Larry. I want to challenge you to a match on the links. I want to get out there and shoot around the golf with you when I get down there in Florida one of these times. I told you I'm down there a lot.
What's that going to cost?
That's it. I'll put my money where my mouth is.
You got my number. You come down, let me know. We'll see what happens. You never know. You know, there's one interesting thing coming up I'm excited about. We did a movie about a year ago, last December. We filmed a movie here in Orlando. It was me, Tonga, Ernie the Cat Miller, Stan Hansen was in it for a couple of days, some other guys. There's a movie with some wrestlers. It's called The Replaceables. And you can probably, Google. And it's almost done. It's being edited at Full Sail right down the road. And it's a movie about a group of wrestlers who save a town from aliens. And it could be one of these called classic, like The Hills Have Eyes became or something.
Yeah.
But so I'm excited because that's getting edited, and they're going to film one more scene with me, I think, in another month at Full Sail at the end, because I get blown up at the end saving the day. And in 1980, when everybody hated me, I made a record called Boo on Me. And it's probably on YouTube. But when the director, my telephone ringtone is my Boo on Me song. So the director heard it and said, "What's that?" So he heard it and he loved it. So Boo on Me is going to be at the end of the movie when the credits are going up. The Boo on Me. So I'm going to try to change. I'm going to try to change the culture, because for the last 30 years, the dreaded F word, which I never heard when I was a kid, is way overdone. F you, F that, F this. So now instead of that, people can say, "Oh, you don't like it? Boo on me, jerk." Yes, I'm excited about this movie. Should be done by around April, beginning of May, and it's called The Replaceables.
Well, we will keep our eyes out, and when that is released, we'll make sure that we're going to push it here too.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
excited to hear.
I'm excited.
Well,
I can't wait to see. They said I was great, so.
Well, Larry, I got to tell you, this was a wonderful time that you spent with us. We really appreciate it, my friend. I wish you a lot of health and everything, and I'm telling you, we're gonna get out in the links one day. One of these trips down there.
Stranger things have happened.
You got it. But Larry, thank you so much. Congratulations on an amazing career. It was a real pleasure for us to talk to you. And listen, take care, all right?
Well, thanks, Mike, Matt, Jeff, Rich. Thank you, guys. It was fun. And I could probably go on, but we can always do it again down the road if you're bored.
We would love to have you back. Listen, we've had probably some of your old buddies, Nikita Koloff, Luke Williams. We've had a couple of guys come back on. They like to come on occasionally and hop on with us. We had Fonzie 3 times on here. So we'd love that. We'd love to have you back in the future, Larry. Thank you again, man. We appreciate it. All right, guys. So
well, thank you very much, and have fun, and don't anybody be depressed. Go back to nature where we belong, and we'll live happily ever after.
You got it, Larry. We will. Thank you. Good night, brother.
See you, Larry.
All right, good night, guys.
Thank you, Larry.
There you have it, guys. The living legend, Larry Zbyszko. Awesome time, awesome interview. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I know we did. I am definitely going to get out on the links with him.
I got $100 on Zbyszko.
Oh, I would bet on Zbyszko. The over-under, the real bet would be over-under. He beats me by 35.5 strokes. That would be the real bet. Let's be honest. But love it. Family chiming in. Family here. Family of our viewers. Love it. Ryan says this was so much fun to listen to. An absolute pleasure to have Larry on A2D Radio. I know Big Dad was in there. Larry legend. Thank you so much for jumping on. A lot of fun. Saw a lot of people popping in and out. And I plan to read a lot of the viewer comments, but honestly, as the questions were dropping, he was answering them.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Milcarrick had asked the question about if he ever felt like his life was in danger.
Yeah.
And he literally responded with, "Oh, there it goes," because he went right into it. So great interview with Larry. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. And we packed a lot in a short period of time. Jason Cardamone, another great interview, guys, with the living legend. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate Jay. Jay drops a lot of questions in weekly for us with our guests. Ryan Brodo, Larry Goff's, he really is a living legend. Yeah, and not just that, Ryan. He almost made the seniors tour. He missed it by 3 damn strokes.
They should just let him in. He's Larry Zbyszko.
He's Larry freaking Zbyszko. He's the living freaking legend.
So now the over-under really has to be, are you bringing Brodo with you? Since he seems to be very adamant about going with you.
I'll take Brodo. I would take Brodo with me in a heartbeat.
He'll put Brodo in like a suitcase and just.
I've golfed with Ryan. Ryan's almost like my golf coach. So just so I don't lose by 35 and a half strokes, I would need Ryan there to close the gap by about 6 or 7.
It's going to be a handicap match on the golf course.
At least if I have Ryan there, I might only lose by 29 instead of 38.
You're kidding? Ryan will sabotage you just so that Larry could win by even more than what he's going to beat you by.
And I gotta say, guys, that hour did fly by. I mean, you heard him. He's like, "That's an hour already." I feel like it flew by. I mean, that was a great interview, great time with Larry. And listen, the times don't stop because we're gonna plug it now and we're gonna plug it later. Next week, we got former WWE Women's Champion, former 24/7 champion, Playboy cover model. Right now, she's a champ coach, entrepreneur, has her hands in so many cookie jars right now, and she's really awesome. Follow her on social media. She does a lot of really great stuff and motivational stuff. Candace Michelle, the original GoDaddy girl. Looking forward to having her. Same time next week, 2/23, Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only here on A2DRadio.com. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to having that one go. But guys, let's transition. Let's get to the poll question that we asked earlier. Poll question was Undisputed Era, the split of the Undisputed Era, long overdue, agree, disagree. I want to talk about that. A lot of NXT and WWE news this week as well, because we also had the signings of Eli Drake or LA Knight, whatever you want to call him, as well as Taya Valkyrie. And then, we'll dive into the Lacey Evans news as well. But let's get into NXT TakeOver. First and foremost, I'm just going to say this, guys. I thought this was one of the best takeovers they've had in a long time. Top to bottom, perfectly orchestrated the card. I felt the match lineup was so well done. All the matches, high quality. You got a little bit of everything. You had, the big moment at the end. You had I don't call them young and up-and-comers because I watched Impact, but when you see MSK and seeing them guys get a chance to go over, because it was almost like you felt like second year in a row that the grizzled young veterans are in the finals. They're going to give it to them this year. I actually think it's better to have those guys lose a second year in a row and have that be part of their characters. But then to have MSK put them over in a phenomenal match. The ladies in both matches were really good. The ending to the championship match was a little weird, but a little uneventful. But, if that's my one gripe, great event. But just give me your guys' rating on it, on a rating of 1 to 5. How many stars do you give it? I gave it a 4.5. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I agree. I would say... the takeover, I would say I agree with you. It was one of the best. Top to bottom, I would say I didn't lose interest in it. I would say typically there's some pay-per-views and some matches I'll lose a little bit of interest in, or it's the P break of the show, but I didn't have any of that. And I would say it was very well done. And at the end, I would say the turn on with Adam Cole, I would say it was about damn time. That's all I can say. I would say these guys, and I agree with the poll, that it was long overdue. I would say these guys have been at the top of their game for how long? How much more do they really need to do together in NXT? Hopefully, maybe there's a couple call-ups in the future, but in the meantime, we're getting a Ring of Honor rematch with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, most likely. So I'll say a lot to look forward to in the next couple coming months.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I'm really looking forward to that as well. Andy?
By God, what a show! Holy cow! I thought TakeOver was phenomenal. I haven't had that much fun watching a pay-per-view in months.
Yep.
2021, when it comes to pay-per-views, is doing phenomenal. I thought they hit every single mark with, to Chrome's point, the exception, the ending of the triple threat match. Right? But still, it was fantastic. Adam Cole knocking the teeth out of O'Reilly and Balor was beautiful. Long overdue. I'm telling you, read it right now. That will be the feud and the match of the year. Book it, baby.
What, Cole and O'Reilly?
Yes.
I agree. I agree with a whole lot of that. Maddie?
For me, I would actually, for rating wise, I actually, believe it or not, thought it was a 5. I thought it was that damn good. You know, honestly, yeah, there was a lot of really gripping moments. There was a lot of fun matches. You know, I was really impressed with, you know, pretty much almost all the matches. You know, you had great women's tag team match to open up the show for the tag team finals for the women's of the Dusty Classic. The other one for the men's was great as well. And obviously the North American Championship match, I was really excited to see Kushida, you know, take on Gargano, and they did not disappoint. They
Really was
not-
a dream match. It was a dream match, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and they didn't disappoint even in the slightest. It was phenomenal. The Spanish fly going into the armbar was tremendous.
Oh my God.
And that spot will stick with me forever. It's like, that is a Kushida spot. People want to know what made Kushida so big in Japan. Shit like that is what made Kushida so great. And then on top of it as well, the women's triple threat, yeah, you could say the moonsault and then the finish was a little blah. But you know what? Honestly, the whole match overall, though, was great. You know, the stuff they were doing was phenomenal. I thought Mercedes Martinez looked absolutely devastating in that matchup, and she needed to. When she came out with the Retribution mask, I thought, oh, please don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. But then she goes on and has that great match, so it's okay. But besides that, though, main event, fun matchup between Balor and Dunn. You know, you're always going to get that fierceness out of Dunn, and Balor, you get the pretty stuff, and it was a good mix between the two of them. And then Adam Cole turning, we've been waiting for it. It finally happened, and now we get to see where it goes from here. And they probably won't drop the ball, so that's the good news.
Yeah, you know, I would agree with you. Yeah. And again, this is just me. This doesn't take away from it, but I just see. I'm on the road of, we need to get some of these aged NXT guys moving along.
Yeah,
Ciampa, Gargano. I understand that they like it down there, but at the same time, whether it's a developmental anymore or not, you're featuring the next big names, right? And I just feel like they're phenomenal matches. But I worry again that they're taking up spots. Like, I would have rather seen Kushida win this match and get the shot at the get even if it's a one pay-per-view run with the North American title. I felt like that was maybe a missed opportunity, but I'm not complaining. Gargano's phenomenal, but I feel like I'm at the point now where, you know, maybe this might be the only match left for Cole. So maybe he puts O'Reilly over and moves on. I hope that that's the case. I don't need him and Balor. I don't need to see it again. I'm good. It's fine. I want to see. I know he's going to look small in the main roster, but we're talking about Rey Mysterio's been champion, and Daniel Bryan's been champion, and Shawn Michaels has been champion. They were always smaller than everybody they were with. So I don't look at that. If you're that talented enough, Jeff Hardy was champion when he was smaller than he is now. It's just, if you are that talented, you can present yourself to be believable. So I don't buy any of that. He's too small for the main roster crap. Half of them are smaller than you actually think they are. And when you meet them in real life, you find that out. I'm taller than half of them, and I'm 5'11". Some of them I met in person, I'm like, damn, I'm your size. I mean, they look smaller in real life. So, but I would say, good.
No, I'll say, to your point, I would say, I don't know if it's so much the size thing, I would say, or the wrestlers, but I'll say the WWE doesn't have a good track record when they move these guys up from NXT to the main roster. They get lost in the mid card, they get lost in the shuffle, they're not booked properly. So to a lot of these guys, I agree with you at their age, like Adam Cole, he's 31 years old. He's in the prime of his career. He's playing on tremendous matches in NXT, but I want to see him at that next level on the main roster, have his moment at WrestleMania on the main card and things like that. But to a lot of these guys, why do they want to go somewhere where we get lost in the shuffle when they're the big pigs in a small pond on NXT?
And to your point too, Jeff, if you're going to do a refresher with Adam Cole, we haven't seen the full face run, right? We got tastes of it now. But if you're going to do it, I mean, they're at the point where they're going to start rehashing the same things we've seen. Yep. You could have did an Adam Cole and Pete Dunne feud. You could have done Adam Cole and I don't know, name a heel, pick one out of the hat. Johnny Gargano. You could have went back to that but had Gargano the heel and Cole the face. There's ways to rehash, but it's at the point now where it's starting to spin the wheels a little bit. You know what I mean? Thanks, Butters. That's Butters, Andy's co-host on Saturday nights. I almost said Thursday nights. Whoops. Philly Sports Passion 85 says Adam Cole versus AJ Styles needs to happen. I agree. We need to see it.
That's a perfect example of a match you can't do at NXT. If you can bring Cole up to the roster and you book him properly, which, to be fair, you would. Yeah, that's a good one by Brodo.
It's a terrible bad joke, and I enjoy it. Thank you, Ryan Brodo. Will LA Knight have an alter ego in NXT called New York Day? I'll see myself out. Thank you, Ryan.
But I mean, that's a perfect example, though. AJ Styles versus Adam Cole. That's a WrestleMania main event worthy matchup right there. You could put AJ as being the WWE or the Universal Champion, and he could be a heel, and Cole could be a babyface. You could say, oh, well, yeah, you did big in the minor leagues. Can you really be this good in the majors when you're facing the best wrestler in the world in AJ Styles? You can play it off like that. And you can have Adam Cole come out on top at the end of the day, and it would be a big moment in WWE history. Just that alone, and that's just bare minimum on a rivalry.
Listen, give me Adam Cole and Edge. Give me Adam Cole and AJ Styles. Give me Adam Cole and Seth Rollins right now. Hell, give me Adam Cole and Rey Mysterio. I think that would be a phenomenal match where Rey puts him over. I mean, that would almost be an ideal opponent for him to almost come in. Take my money. Give me Adam Cole and Drew McIntyre. Take my money right now. Give me that at WrestleMania. Honestly, I would take that in a heartbeat right now. I mean, fuck, Adam Cole and Roman Reigns, like shit.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so many opportunities there for the main roster.
Cole has the future to be a big star. I mean, yeah, he's, in his 30s, but, again, you could still get some really great years out of him where he is the main face. And you could say, holy shit, and those would be some good money-making years. You could put him on the main poster of a WrestleMania, and it'll sell. You have this opportunity now. This is the time to pull the trigger, because if you wait too long, it'll be too late. You don't want to wait,
Philly Sports Passion, not saying I wouldn't want to see it, but we've already seen it on SmackDown when NXT was part of Survivor Series a couple years ago, which, by the way, was a phenomenal match. I'd love to see a feud. I think Daniel Bryan's on the way out now. There's a couple guys that are still either in their prime or at the tail end of their prime. I mean, AJ's probably still got a good 3-4 years of high productivity left. I want to see that match happen. I think Cole's only got a year left on his contract. So I would like to see him come up for a year and see what he could do with some of these guys on the main roster. But moving on from that now, two huge announcements announced for NXT and we don't know what the other one's going to be. McAfee and Cole for the Universal. But we had Taya Valkyrie for the women. I want to dive into that second, because we haven't seen where she's going to be yet. However, we did bring in Eli Drake, in my opinion, of the last 5 years, anywhere in professional wrestling. When you talk total package, when you talk look, ring work, mic work, top 3 to 5 heel in the entire business, bar none. Bar none. So I want to hear your guys' reactions. And listen, I don't think any of us like the name. So we're just going to we're going to take that out, okay? We don't care about the name right now. I think we could get used to that anyway. It allows him to do his shtick, which is what's important. So whatever, we'll get used to it. We've heard plenty of shitty names. We've had plenty of shitty belts that we hated. You know, we hated the red universal title, the fruit roll-up title, and we got used to that. So let's just take the name out of the equation. I just want to get your guys' reaction. I'll start with Jeff. Andy may or may not be popping back on. He had to step away. So, Jeff, reaction to the Eli Drake addition to NXT, which we know where he's going to start out at.
I'm in love with that. I would say I agree with you, Chrome. I would say he's been a tremendous worker over the past couple of years, and it's sort of that redemption story because I would say he had that WWE tryout. He was with WWE as a jobber back in the day, got released. He got on that Rock's reality show, and I would say he worked the indie scenes and all that, but he got back on that Rock reality show that was on TNT years ago, and sort of put him in the connection with the right people. Rock got in touch with Dixie. He got in touch with Impact and TNA, and just from there, his career could just completely blossom. I'll say he had a little bit of disagreement with management where he went to NWA then, which I'll say it's a big loss for NWA. I know we had Nick Aldis on last week and talking to him and hoping that NWA could go back to what it was. I would say it's a major blow to them. So I would say the Eli Drake or LA Knight, get another shot with WWE. It's going to be some big things. I would say we're going to see a lot of big matchups. We're worried about we're talking about, I would say, these older guys like Adam Cole, Gargano, moving on to the next roster. I'll say you're not going to lose a beat with a guy like LA Knight on this roster with a lot of these up-and-comers. He's been in the business a long time, so I feel it's a great move by WWE to get some fresh faces in here and get some new talent, some new matches, and I would say still put on a great product.
Yeah, and you know what, to your point, too, a lot of people don't realize he was a part of WWE before in their developmental program. Yeah. I do believe he was a part of that controversy with, the hell is his name? Hugh Morris. What is his real name again? Remind me.
Bill DeMott.
Bill DeMott. There was that whole controversy that led to his essential dismissal, but were his stepping away and never coming back. But I believe he was a part of that group of wrestlers that had accusations against him and his training process, his mistreatment of the trainees. And I think that maybe that, I'm speculating, but that may have played a role in why there was hesitation to bring him in over maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. But again, he hit a stride 2 or 3 years ago, and he has been to the moon especially over the last 3 years. Phenomenal work in NWA. You're right. So I'm happy to, again, like you said, to see him have a redemption story with WWE. Maddie?
Yeah, I mean, I when I heard the name, at first I thought it's like, what, did you take the Golden Knights, cut off the Golden part, and took the LA Kings and cut the Kings part off and just mixed them together? Because it just sounds like a hockey team name. But anyway, it's just, minus all that, though, I do like work. I do like how he fit in well. I actually, when I saw his NWA stuff, I thought him and Aldis were a perfect, point and counterpoint rivalry. Both of them have that. Drake's the arrogant, SOB, and Aldis is the old school style wrestler who's reviving the NWA World Title, and I thought that was a really great starting point for him to maybe go on to. I thought maybe he would go on to do something else. Maybe he'd go to ROH or what have you. But because I thought the whole Bill DeMott thing would have just turned him off to WWE completely. But to see him now in NXT, it's like, okay, all right, he's, a new chance for him to make something happen. I hope that they, I know he'll do well in NXT. But I know Dynasty's been talking about it, hopefully if he does wind up on Raw and SmackDown, hopefully they let him have a little bit of leeway, because I do think his promo work is really good when he improvises, and he's one of the good improvisers. You don't get many of them, in wrestling, at least today. But when you get them, you should let them have a little bit of leeway and let them have a little bit of say of what they do. It is WWE, however, So, hopefully, if he does go to Raw and SmackDown eventually, they do let him have that. At least.
Prism asks, is Bobby Fish still cool with Kyle O'Reilly? We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. That'll be interesting. Bobby's still hurt for a while, so we're not going to get the answer to that. It's going to be more of where's Roddy's loyalty is going to lie. But getting back to what you were saying there, Maddie, agreed. This guy's undeniable. His talent is undeniable. For WWE to continue to carry a grudge over something that was over a guy who they themselves essentially dismissed from the company because of the exact accusations that were coming up would have been ridiculous. And again, when you talk about a guy that comes back and not just blows the doors off, he kicks those damn doors off, and really emerged from the wrestling business outside of WWE or the now AEW window. Pretty exciting. He would have been really good in AEW, but I actually think NXT is the most ideal spot for this guy.
Well, yeah, especially since Hunter gives, like I was saying, we brought up before about if he goes to the main roster, hopefully they give him leeway. Hunter has a lot of faith in his guys, so I feel that's why a lot of these guys that are in NXT aren't too hurried to move up to the main roster because of they get a little bit more leeway and a little bit more say on their characters and a little bit more things they want to do. Ultimately, Hunter and Vince have final say, but they take their input into account, which I would say is probably going to be huge. I would say Hunter working with him, so it's I would say it's going to be a fun time the next few months, hopefully for him and the rest of the company. Agreed.
Second, and this one was actually announced beforehand by the same source, PWI Insider or PW Insider. Wow, I can't talk today. PW Insider. Taya Valkyrie, and this has been rumored. We talked about this before the Royal Rumble. I felt like she could have possibly been a surprise entrant, but it seems to be official now. Taya Valkyrie has signed a WWE contract. We don't know the length of time. We don't know the details of the deal. We don't know what brand she's going to be on. When we heard the story with Eli Drake, we knew he was going to be on NXT. But reactions to Taya signing, and also, I want to ask the question, who would you like to one person from each brand, NXT, Raw, SmackDown. Right now, who do you want to see Taya Valkyrie versus? We'll go with Maddie first this time.
Yeah.
All right, so from NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. All right. For me, I would like to see Taya face off with Shayna. Because I think Shayna would try to ground her and submit her, where Taya would do the opposite. And good workers know how to make opposites attract in the ring, and I think they both could do that. NXT wise, that one's tough to narrow down. Let's see. I'll come back to NXT. Give me a moment on that one. But for SmackDown wise, I would like to see her. I actually like to see her face Bayley. I think Bayley would actually. I think that if you give Bayley the ball with her promos on that, I think she could have fun with it. Because she's very good on the mic. With her heel persona. Took a little bit, but it grew, and now she's really good on the microphone. I think it'd be kind of cool if you could kind of maybe bend the, blur the lines of fiction and truth with Taya a little bit. That'd be kind of fun to do. And then for that. For NXT, oh God. I'd like to see her and Io face each other. I think it'd be a fun matchup. I think it'd be a crazy rivalry between the two of them.
You know what amazes me, Maddie? Every time a topic like this comes up and I'm going to do it, you're never prepared for it. It's always like pulling teeth. You always look like you're in so much pain when I ask this question. Anytime there's a signing, anticipate I'm going to ask, and I'm going to ask what matches you want to see. I'm putting it out there now on tape for the fam to know, so that next time you do the same thing, I'll be like, Maddie, remember last time I told you to be prepared for it?
Yeah, but you see, here's the thing, though. It's better when I improvise. I would rather have an improvisation than something that I had to rehearse for. I hate rehearsing. It's stupid.
Here we
when you
go.
do that.
Kissing Larry's ass now. Too choreographed and scripted ahead of time. No, I'm just kidding. Jeff.
I'll say there's a lot of, I feel, quality matches that you probably could have depending on the certain feuds. I agree with Matt. Bailey's probably an option, but for SmackDown, I'll go with Natalya. I'll say just for the fact I'll say you have this veteran here. I'll say she's been with this company for so long. I'll say Natalya is in that point in their career that she's willing to put up over new talent. So, and I feel them two. I would say she's experienced enough that I feel them two working together in a matchup, I would say would be entertaining for the most part. As for Raw, I will choose, because I wasn't prepared here because I'm not used to your style yet, Chrome. So my apologies.
That's okay. You get a pass. You're okay.
I'll go with Charlotte. I'll say similar thing to Charlotte. I'll say right now she's the queen per se as when it comes to the women's division right now, and somewhat the face. Besides, there's a couple other names there, but I would say a lot of people feel that she's probably right now with Becky not there, probably the face of the women's division. So definitely a name I would say they could have good feuds with. And then for NXT, I will go with. I'm just a fan of Shotzi, so I would say maybe Shotzi. I would say just the little gimmicks with the tank, and I don't know. I just feel you can get, like Matt said, they have some good. Taya has some good promos, so could be an interesting feud there in NXT. But let's be real, with her being married to Morrison, she's gonna be wherever he's at, most likely.
I hope not. Now, when I get to my answer, I was respond. Dynasty. That's the thing, brother. It's no notes, but you can still be prepared to talk about stuff. We still know each other. We know that I'm going to be a dick sometimes and troll people. That's just what I do. It's my style. Like, I haven't done it yet. Intentionally mentioned the fact that Matty has no facial hair on his mouth.
I was ready for it.
I'm waiting until the end. It's because that's the big finish. That's the big finale. Me trolling Matty's baby face. I'm not ready to do it yet. Okay, Dynasty, but see, no notes, but they know it's coming, buddy. That's the thing. We agree to disagree. We don't need notes, but we know each other's style. Andy.
Charlotte, Tony, Bianca.
Charlotte, Tony, Bianca. See, I like Bianca, right? So we're going SmackDown. I'm with you. Bianca is absolutely my answer. Raw, I want to see Asuka, man. I feel like that match would be absolute freaking fire. Their styles would work so well together.
But I almost feel like, and talking about in the moment right now, Asuka being champion, right? Let Charlotte build Taya to that Asuka match, right?
Yeah.
Not in a sense of, we're gonna hurt Charlotte by putting Taya over or whatever have you. But it's to silence the people that always say, oh, they show up and they get a championship run right away. It's to silence those people. I want to see Taya Charlotte lead into Taya Asuka.
Right. But my issue with that is...
And especially with them tagging right now.
So my issue with that is I don't want her touching Charlotte for a while because, A, that's a big money match down the road. I don't think you want to give that away right away. And B, Charlotte has to go. Charlotte cannot lose to her right out of the gate. I'm sorry. It's just Charlotte is still at that point. So Taya can't lose. And again, I don't want to give away a big payday. This ain't WCW with Goldberg and Hogan. We're not giving away the big paydays for free on TV yet. So that's kind of where I want to see the match. I'm not
right. No. I get where you're coming from. Out
of the gate, I don't.
It's just a matter of when you want to see it.
I mean, honestly, I look at. I would have said Rhea for NXT because I think that match could be fire, and I can't say Rhea anyway because we don't even know what brand necessarily she's on.
That's where I was at. I don't know where you put Rhea, right? Because Rhea before Tony, absolutely. If Rhea's
to me, Rhea needs to be on Raw.
Should we just put her on the honorable mentions side of things since we don't know the brand?
Yes, we go with Babyface's idea.
No, we don't do that. I would have said Baby Ass's idea, but whatever. No,
I'm not the asshole.
No, I'm saying because his face is as smooth as a baby's ass, you jackass.
I know, but I'm not an asshole like you are, sir.
Oh, since when?
Quite often.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. Yep. That's it.
How did that get turned on? Okay.
See, what I find funny is that Crone's trying to rag on me, and yet at the end of the day, it still winds up turning on Andy.
Of course.
I didn't even do anything to. I didn't even deflect it. I said nothing.
I'm invited on this show. I am comedic humor on this show, and then especially when you got Golfy Boy back there just clicking buttons.
I guess he's no Roddy Strong. The line's in the sand, and he chose his side already.
Yes.
Is Mike on?
Speak? Yes, not.
You just got the Mona Lisa stare of death.
Anyway.
Anyway.
But NXT, I feel like there's a lot of really good names. Like, I feel like she could be really good with Ember Moon out of the gate.
Yeah.
I feel like that matchup, just the way that they're I know Ember's a little smaller, but the way that they're physically built in their styles, I feel like would be really good. But I want to see her and Raquel Gonzalez. I think that would be a phenomenal match. And you talk about that, like, it's almost like it's probably not a good comparison. I was going to say almost like Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels or Kevin Nash and Bret Hart, and that she can, Ty is like talented in the technical side. She can fly around a little bit. She's not, she's not a luchador-esque female as she used to be earlier in her career with Lucha Underground, but she still can do those kinds of things, fly around a little bit, as opposed to having Raquel be that more that technician, that tall, kind of big brawling type of girl. I love it. I would love to see that. I think that would be a money match as well.
Round 2.
Oh, here we go.
Andy, you trying to play with fire today?
No. I was just on a roll, and you were there, and yeah, it was either make fun of you or make fun of Jeff, and I don't know Jeff well enough yet.
All right, I'll let that one slide.
Thank you.
Plus, me and Andy are Power Ranger bros.
This is true. Final big news of the week, and as obvious, we had what looked was really bad. Okay, and that is the Lacey Evans is pregnant.
Can I just can you tell the story though of you texting me last night after you watched it?
So I text Andy and I said, I'll read it. I don't care. I'll read it on.
I don't know where my phone is, or I'd read it.
Okay. So I said, I'm watching Raw Started Late, and I said, what the F is with this Lacy storyline? He said, it just ended. Not a totally bad show. I don't even want to talk about it. Talk about that. I said, so she's in the Elimination Chamber match, but can't fight Charlotte because she's pregnant? What kind of Vince Russo shit is that? And he said, dude, I have no idea anymore. It hurts my brain. I said, awful. Then I sent another text, just ... awful. Sent another text, embarrassingly awful. And then a few minutes later, I was, I guess it was 30 minutes later, I was like, oh, apparently she's really pregnant.
Not my flair.
But you know what the funny part is? It wouldn't necessarily be a Vince Russo like storyline because the end would be the baby's on a pole, and you have to go up and get the baby. That would be the Vince Russo ending to this, basically.
Are we putting Ric Flair in Ric Flair in a shark cage, or Ric Flair on a pole match?
No, he's on the forklift. He's doing the Judy Bagwell. He's on the forklift.
All of this sounds so bad, but I could see it all happening.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was bad. It didn't look good. It was really, really terrible. The way it was conveyed. But listen, I understand they're going to try to wrap up the storyline in some way without her having to be physically confrontational. Whatever. In terms, it's terrible. Ric Flair and woo.
Well, I could have done Bad Bunny winning a 24/7 freaking title last night.
Fun fact I learned today, boys. You can talk all the shit you want on Bad Bunny being there. I don't love it either. But who do you think has the #1 selling WWE merchandise right now?
It's Bad Bunny because of his freaking followership. All those people.
Not even close. The closest to him is Roman Reigns has 5% of the sales that Bad Bunny merch does right now on WWE.com. So I say to you,
and yet I still don't care.
but here's the thing, boys, and you have to care because if you're going to be a WWE follower and a fan, this is what their business is. This is why they're not AEW. When people want to compare and bitch and this and that. But also, hey, this is why they make money because they bring in big money stars, whether you love it or not. And guess what? They get mainstream attention. All that merch sales like this, all like that. Roman Reigns, second highest, 5% of his sales. Do you have any idea how much money that is, Andy? Do you have a clue? It's the how
More
many
than
in this
lifetime.
very ring? How many in this very ring beanies on your head have you sold? Nothing close to Bad Bunny, I'll tell you that.
All right, first of all, why we taking shots?
WrestleMania 40 main event, Bow Wow versus Bad Bunny for the title.
I will tell you
Very
right
well
now.
said, Jeff. Book it now.
I will tell you right now.
Tickets ordered. We're going.
I will not hate on Bow Wow, because he's a legitimate fan of the business. He has said for a while that he would like to do it, and he's training, like he's going through it, training. He's not just being a hip-hop star jumping in. He said, I want to train and learn how to do it and step in the ring. Don't hate it. Ric Flair versus Father Time, a new hip on a pole match.
God
Love it.
damn.
Hey, at least we
that's
know
a
he's
good
not
one.
shooting. At least we know Nature Boy's not shooting blanks. Flair Drip said booing. And a bitch by pull-out game ain't shit on the track. Oh, my God. All right, Dynasty, I love it. This is the Charlotte versus Rick. Watch. Nah, I don't think you'll get Charlotte versus Rick.
If they get Charlotte versus Rick, I might quit.
What the hell are they gonna? What spots are they gonna do? Like seriously,
It's gonna be, as Zbyszko called it, a woo slap off.
Andy, you know that Bad Bunny shirt's going to be the new Gronk for Ryan shirt from last year, right?
Yeah, I know. It's coming.
We got to get you a Bad Bunny shirt now, and I expect you in about a month and a half when we start rolling out our WrestleMania roundtables, our two-part WrestleMania roundtable shows leading into Mania. I expect you to wear it on one of the shows.
I will only wear that if Ryan wears the Gronkomania shirt.
Done.
Well, number one.
I agreed to this for Ryan. Done.
Yeah, I mean, number one, yes, done. I also agreed to it because I know Greg's never going to get off the couch to actually give me the shirt.
Greg's never going to get back into New Jersey to give you the shirt.
You're providing me even more excuses, Chrome. So absolutely. And two, Andy, remember all those months where you laughed at me about the Gronk shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, the karma is here, isn't it?
I fully expect for you to wear the Bad Bunny shirt, and you would be a scumbag if you didn't do so. I'm just letting you know now.
You watch.
Once a scumbag, always a scumbag.
We know.
What? But watch. Ritz will get every single prediction right, and he'll have to wear it now from here on out on the big round tables because it's his good luck.
It'll be a good look.
So, wait. So I have to tell you. Hold on. You brought that up. This is your chance now, Andy. What's the deal with the? We had a pay-per-view now this week. What is the deal with the? I know you're doing your regular Universal predictions.
Right. You're asking about the Ritz versus Butters challenge.
Ritz versus Butters challenge. For fans or viewers who are following along, we do a prediction challenge. They've split up all the A2D personalities. So we're doing a revised version of this. Thank freaking God, by the way, because the other version made no sense. That was about as Vince Russo of a ballot challenge idea as you could possibly get.
Hey, everybody's got to have one Russo moment. I had mine early on.
Well, I mean, at least he had like the graphic was set up like Marvel vs. Capcom, where they have 50,000 different updates every month.
Yeah.
You get the Champions Edition, the arcade edition.
We're
Well,
just like
that
a video
actually-
game. We
I don't
patch
even
it
know-
every couple weeks.
I don't even know if it's going to be necessarily Russo. Maybe that's too much credit. It may have been more of like a Dixie Carter of ballot challenges there.
Or an Ed Ferrara.
Hey. No.
Oh, that's too far? Okay, too
That's
far.
too far.
We've drawn the line.
You don't ever go full Ferrara. No, so what we talked about doing, and I don't think you'll really have a problem with this, but we're just going to put out a regular ballot. You're going to know who you're picking, and if you need help, reach out to a member on your team. You can. There are many different ways that this can go. It will create a new team dynamic, and for the love of God, if Team Rich doesn't pull it together, we're going to have some problems.
Well, you're the dummies who decided to put an anonymous ballot out on a 3-match card to where half the team got zeros because you don't know what you're picking. You're picking A or B.
Hey, aren't you Team Rich? Can't you, like, just for half a second?
Oh, no. Listen, in fairness, this criticism goes to the other dummy who's on the show with you, too, on Saturday.
Is that dummy still watching?
I don't know, but if he's not, tell him to tune back in because I got a few choice words for him.
Again, don't know where my phone is.
Oh, my God.
Prism.
Yes, Prism. Yes, those are added.
Nope.
Those are added stipulations.
No, they are not.
Those addendums, they're added. They are added.
Absolutely
screenshot that.
not.
Yes,
No,
keep that up.
no,
Keep
no.
that up. Because Chrome is going to
Wait, hold
screenshot
on.
that. Yes.
You don't even know how to work a phone.
The closed captions were on. Shut your goddamn mouth.
Chrome, would you like me to write up a contract, Chrome? We can
I
have
don't
a
even know how
contract
to
signing.
Proto,
the closed
get all
captions
your
got
shit
on
out of the
here.
way
What is
now.
going on? There we go. Now we're talking.
2021, Chrome doesn't know how to work a phone.
No, he's getting numerous angles. Leave him alone.
Angle of what? A screenshot?
Beautiful.
It's the thought that
Beautiful.
counts.
Absolutely
Chrome,
stunning.
Chrome, I'll write up some contracts. We'll have the official signing next week.
Good.
That's
Good.
Oh, we
good,
all know
good.
how those end.
Well
Least it's
done.
not a wedding angle.
This is true. At
Prism,
least
I
we're not
thought we
getting-
were friends.
There you go. Damien is making a.
Nope.
A bunny.
He is making a compromise and offering you a bunny suit.
They don't make them big enough.
Well, what if we sew a couple together?
No, I don't trust any of you with sharp objects.
So we just cut one down the half. We cut the front off, and then we just make a giant.
Hey. Shut your mouth.
Let's do it with an Adam Rose bunny head on top of it. Man, the fam is really. Listen, if anything we
What the
take
hell
away
is
from
happening
this,
here? How did
if
I get
anything
roasted by YouTube?
if anything we take from this, the fam is 1,000% on board with you doing something bunny related for the WrestleMania roundtable. And folks, believe me, he could sit here and be resistant all he wants. We promise, what the fam wants, they get.
Ah, bullshit.
So it's gonna happen.
And one last final thing.
I'll start sabotaging Team Ritz then.
Yeah.
I'll pick everybody I know is gonna lose the matches.
Fucked up.
So then,
And look, hey, control freak, you watch yourself over there.
shut up. So here's what we do. There's one other graphic that Mr. Brodo, I'm sure you can get Frank on board on this. We need to have Andy, when he wears those bunny ears, he needs to get superimposed over like, yes, there you go. That's exactly what I was thinking.
No.
Good job,
Your
Brodo.
face,
Good job.
you know, between now and WrestleMania, your face is gonna be on this picture.
They're
and
going
it's
to have it
come up
by
every
the end
week.
of the night. Brodo's already texted Frank. I guarantee it.
I love it.
I
Damn,
guarantee
Andy, you become the punching bag.
Well, because,
No.
never mind.
Andy, just so you know, it's not. This is all me. Frank's watching a movie. He's off tonight, so this is me.
We got 8 minutes, Ryan, to make this happen.
Oh, I'm flying. I'll be there soon.
This is what helps when you have a producer in your pocket.
Jeff, to answer your question, when did I become the punching bag? About 3 years ago, August.
So it's like 2.5 years because that's like you
I
act like
couldn't math.
August is around the corner.
Dude, I couldn't math right now. It's 30 degrees outside in fucking Texas, okay?
Oh my God, boo hoo, you pansy ass! Like,
It's an emergency.
Go.
People
Here's
without power in that goddamn
Here's
state.
the best
Jeff,
part. Here's
Jeff,
what
this is your moment, Jeff. This is your chance. Chaz said it to you, and now you can say it to Andy. Hey, Andy, don't make your problem our problem, Andy.
Oh, I will make it your problem.
Working together.
We're not at each other's throats at all. I just question him when he says stupid things. Like everybody's going to fall out of the ring and the 30th man's just going to randomly win the Rumble.
Which is like the whole show.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I love Butters.
we were all there for that.
Butters
love
almost
Butters.
died the other day, though. He said that pineapple belongs on pizza.
My wife agrees with him.
Pineapple is delicious on pizza.
No,
It's
it's not.
disgusting. Hawaiian pizza is the absolute worst, and I have to fight my wife to make sure we never ever get it.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying it necessarily belongs there, but it's very underrated. Once a
It doesn't
year,
belong there.
once a year kind of a treat. It's pretty good.
So you're kind of in the I can live with it category, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if I was married to a woman that wanted it all the time, no.
Jeff's like, nah, I'm gonna stand my ground. Fuck you, that pizza's not coming in this house.
Nope.
You eat it outside.
It's like, I've got the divorce papers right now.
My wife's gonna divorce me for other things, so it's not gonna matter. Chrome can attest to the amount of stuff and pictures I sent of wrestling stuff the last couple days.
Oh God!
Man has a collection. We'll say that he has quite the collection. Andy, other consensus that's coming from the chat. You're gonna have to say because I'm Bad Bunny at the end of every sentence.
No.
Yes.
No, see, it's consensus.
Are you not a man of the people?
It's
Are
Prism.
you not a man of the people who watch our shows here on A2D Radio?
No.
You're all about the fam.
On me.
It's a simple request that you can accommodate
People
for the
power.
people, right? The people who make us who we are, who make A2D the platform it is, who comment and share and do everything.
Ah, there it is. But okay, so if we're gonna do that, then Ritz, there's one other thing you gotta do. At the end of that, when you say because I'm Bad Bunny, one little thing you gotta say after that, because I'm Bad Bunny Ritz, and then finish it completely. And that's it.
Why do I do these shows with you assholes?
Because you get to talk to cool people like Larry Zbyszko.
All right, yeah, fair enough.
So that's the price you pay.
That's it. Welcome to Tuesday nights. Or what? Yeah, it is Tuesday.
Yeah, it's
right?
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
I can't remember. I don't know
Well,
what
last week
freaking day
was
it is.
Wednesday, so give him some slack.
I'm all screwed up. Yeah, we're in less than a week time to 2 shows. Don't forget to have carrots in a basket.
Don't push it, guys.
This is just rolling. God, we're going to come up. I can't wait. We got so much to go back on, Ryan, and jot down notes on so we can put this whole thing together.
The hell we do.
This was fun. This was a lot of fun. And the show was really great, too, by the way. But, no, we loved Larry Zbyszko. Thank you, Larry, for joining us. Awesome conversation about NXT TakeOver and the signings and obviously Lacey Evans and that craziness and Bad Bunny being the top merch seller right now. But, make sure you guys come back next week. For all you guys who've been chiming in, we appreciate you. Please come back next week. Again, another huge name coming at you. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Tuesday night. Candice Michelle, former WWE Women's Champion, WWE 24/7 Champion, Playboy cover model, original GoDaddy girl. She's awesome. She's really excited to be on, and we're excited to have her. So she'll be our next guest. Man, we booked out a whole month, boys. Next week will be the entire month of February. Who knows what the month of March is going to bring? So make sure you guys are staying tuned. I know it's bringing Disney for me because I'm going to be taking a trip down to Florida for my birthday, so that's exciting. And also mark your calendars because there probably won't be a show on March 16th because I will be flying home from Florida that evening. But anyway, I digress. Appreciate you guys. Thank you to our sponsors. Let's pay some bills. Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal, Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on. Larry talked about it. Really love that he touched on that too, by the way, guys. Kind of brought up, all the issues people are having with mental health and addiction issues right now. So kind of what Larry said, take a step back, reflect on yourselves, find what makes you happy and look around. Find some things in nature. I know things are kind of restricted. It's a weird world right now. But you know what? Aside from that, if yourself or anybody that you know is going through these issues, mental health, addiction issues, we are proud to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. And you guys got to take care of yourselves and take care of people. Dial the phone number there, 856-651-8117. Again, the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. Make sure you guys hit them up. Prism, thank you, sir. We got a little bit away, so I'll be on a few times, but I appreciate it. I'm going to be on the downside to 40. Oh, hit 36. But
Grandpa.
again, that phone number, 856-651-8117. Also, Body Check Wellness. Love those guys over there. Great partnership we have. Use the promo code A2D. It's going to get you 20% off all of their products. And by the way, when Riley Cote, former Philadelphia Flyer, hops on the Hockey Happy Hour on a Thursday night, guess what? They have a special product that they're going to offer 40% off on. It's a really, really great package that they offer. It's only not the whole order, guys, just specifically what that package is, but it's well worth it from what I hear. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We got a lot of other guests coming on tomorrow. We have the ladies are back, so we're going to be jumping on with the ladies after dark, as well as the Fix and the AM and the PM. Ryan, I know you're back there. Great to see Noah finally jump into 2021 in the 21st century. Love seeing him on. Miss his face and his voice so much. So really, really, really great that you guys have him back on the Fix.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't think he realized he was on the air last week, but yeah, it's been really fun.
Oh, I must have missed that part. I'll have to.
I love Noah, and this won't be a surprise to any long-term listeners, but there's a couple times where Noah was on the phone and he just walked away, and then he just, he was eating a burger, and then he was talking to somebody in the house, then he was talking to his dog, and I think he fell asleep for a couple. Yeah, but it's great having him back. I agree.
Same guy who, when we were in the studio, ordered a pizza, didn't tell anybody, and then midway through the show, there's a knock on the door with a pizza delivery.
And he didn't share it with anybody. In the middle of the show, he got there, he started eating the pizza, and then 5 minutes later on the air, he fell asleep. That's
amazing.
That's phenomenal.
Noah Eaton
have the same kind of story. After a show, we're sitting down watching a Phillies game. Me and Tom, we ordered 4 pizzas. Me and Tom just eat a little bit of it. He has one whole pizza to himself, eats the whole thing, passes out halfway through the Phillies game, and me and Tom are just looking at each other as he's snoring. Just like, what the fuck is going on?
He's a riot. I mean, we missed him. He hasn't been with us since the whole COVID era, so we're happy. He's a flip phone guy, so I'm glad that we got him some form of technology that we can actually get him back on shows after a year. But great show tonight. Thank you again to the living legend, Larry Zbyszko, one of my favorite guys, one of my favorite conversations we've had. And we've had a lot of phenomenal conversations here. So really great to pick a true legend in this business is mine. And great, too, not just about the past, but about current stuff. He's a guy who still follows it, who does go to the Performance Center when COVID's not a thing and helps out with the next generation. So that was really insightful because a lot of the times, a lot of our people here who come on don't follow it very closely. So that was really cool to pick his brain about. But for all of us here, Big Dad, A2D, the whole fam, all the shows that we have on this platform, make sure you guys are following, liking, subscribing, sharing out our shows, sharing out our content, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Twitch, all the social media platforms, Instagram, and get over there, follow all the podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, Apple iTunes, whatever you call it, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. iHeartRadio, we're everywhere. Make sure you guys are following A2D Radio. You ain't seen nothing yet. We got a lot more big shit coming on around the corner. For myself, for Maddie, for Ritz, for Jeff, for Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos, and everybody here, we love you guys. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Andy, I'm probably not going to be on this week because I'm getting my second vaccine shot, so I don't expect to be good. I might be sick on Saturday night. But love you guys. Take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great week.